Welcome to a new episode of The Genius. My dear viewer, let me take you back in time. Like the 70s? No. To more than 66 million years ago. And you can watch the last episode if you want to back in time. We will go to what is known as the Mesozoic era, where the Earth's weather was warm, all covered with many different trees, with great diversity in animals, birds, and insects. This age was dominated by reptiles and ruled by all kinds of dinosaurs. They were carnivorous monsters like the Spilatosaurus and T-Rex, and herbivorous like Corythosaurus and Anchiceraptus. There were dinosaurs that frightened sea creatures like Spinosaurus and Pitosaurus that could fly. It was the first kind of vertebrate to fly. A flying dinosaur like Quetzalcoatlus could be as tall as the giraffe, and his wings were 12 meters long. Hundreds of species lived in a reptile golden age. Some swam, some walked, and some flew. It was an ancient paradise filled with vivid life and colors, until a small details changed. If we assumed that the dinosaur was watching the sky every night, it would have seen a new shining star. The star kept getting bigger and more shiny over the weeks, until on a fateful day, the star appeared like a second small moon in the sky, and then it disappeared. And the next day, it reappeared, but with the size of the sun. The star kept getting bigger and bigger, until the dinosaur knew it wasn't getting bigger, it getting closer. The body penetrated the atmosphere with 60 times more speed than the sounds. It took 2 seconds to pass through the atmosphere, separating Earth from space. An asteroid bigger than the Everest that was steadily heading towards a coast close to Yucatan in Mexico. In a fraction of a second, it reached the Earth, where everything changed forever. Life wouldn't be the same as it was. Dinosaurs on the ground saw a ball of light above Mexico. The asteroid hit the ocean coast and evaporated from the clash. It produced an energy equals to billion of nuclear weapons. The thermal radiation resulted from the explosion was hundreds of thousands of degrees, moving with the speed of light. That instantly burned anything in a radius of 1,500 kilometers. Because of the clash, the Earth crust flew like a liquid from under the asteroid, leaving a hole 25 kilometers deep. The ocean was pushed back for hundreds of kilometers. When the Earth crust rebounded to its place, it formed a mountain of molten crust that was up to 10 kilometers high, an immense amount of materials that make up 60 times the asteroid's size. They exploded and violently flew off until they penetrated the atmosphere and flew into space. The strength of this clash affected the entire planet in a few minutes. Although it happened in Mexico Gulf, there was an 11-degree earthquake. It was the most vigorous quake to ever be witnessed by any living organism, and caused volcanic eruption that continued for 30,000 years, covered half the surface of India with lava. Another studies say that volcanoes didn't erupt because of the asteroid, but they happened to occur at the same period. But we prepare another surprise for the dinosaur. The water in the ocean returned to how it was and formed tsunami waves with a height up to kilometer. You know how long it takes to walk for a kilometer? It means it was taller than Burj Khalifa. Burj Khalifa is about 800 meters. These waves continued for hours, and the worst was yet to come. The materials that penetrated the atmosphere, which were 60 times bigger than the asteroid, started to rotate around the Earth, hitting the Moon or even Venus. But most of them came back to the Earth. While these rocks were returning through the atmosphere, they were extremely hot, and when they hit the ground, they turned the world into an oven for a while. There are two theories here, that either the air was heated up to hundreds of degrees for a few minutes, or it was heated for up 1,000 degrees for 1 minute. Either way, plants and animals were burned. They became barbecue. The only escape for getting burned, buried alive or hiding in a cave. You could have boiled a dinosaur's bone and find it as smooth as brisket. The fires spread all over the world and continued for months. They turned Earth into hell. Almost all dinosaurs died. One would told me, rest in peace dinosaurs. But wait my friend, the worst is yet to come. Is there more? The substances evaporated and reached up to atmosphere and got trapped there, making the world gloomy and dark, along with the smoke and dust of the clash. The sun rays were obstructed, so the world fell in complete darkness. In that moment, 75% of species on the Earth went extinct. 75 of species were gone. And that it was the closest theory on the dinosaurs. That was suggested by the Nobel winner in physics, along with his geologist son, Walter Alvarez. These scientists found a huge layer of soil with a matter called iridium, which is a rare element on the Earth, and it came from space, along with some other evidence related to fires and wreckage of the same era, where they concluded dinosaurs were caught off guard with the most dramatic extinction. That's the scientific theory to explain that happening. That happening ended an age that lived for more than 160 million years. Years went by, and life got back up on its feet. After the extinction, ages went by and millions of years flew by as well. The world becomes inhabited with creatures that didn't see dinosaurs, nor had any idea they existed. existed, but the planet never forgot the reptiles dominated it for ages. It's true, most of their bodies decomposed and ceased to exist, but some bodies were meant to be underwater. Then soil, sand and the volcano ash had all deposited on top, and more layers kept depositing over these sediments. By times the layers went hard, like layers of rocks. The minerals and sediments in underground water permeated to the body's bones. When people saw skeletons of this size, they thought they were monsters that lived on the earth. Stone giants or cyclopses, these one-eyed giants. The owner of the book, first fossil hunter, said that when the ancient Greek found dinosaur fossils, like the Protoceratops, a creature that no human ever saw or was told about, they guessed that had to be a lion with an eagle head and told the myth of the griffin. When ancient Chinese saw the fossils, they called them dragon bones. Chinese saw these fossils and produced the legend of the dragon, especially that these skeletons resurfaced after rain and storm. So they say it must be a dragon, sentenced to death and fell from the sky. It was hard to imagine there were creatures like dinosaurs lived here then died. It was difficult for the brain to process. Days flew by and the science developed, and in the 17th century the British naturalist Robert Plot found a bone of the dinosaur. So he concluded something outstanding. What was it, dude? He said that this bone was from a creature that lived in the past, and that's his body. May seem obvious and should have been said before, but it was an important discovery that these are skeletons for creatures that used to exist and not dragons or stone monsters. He said it was probably a giant elephant from Hannibal's fighting in Carthage against Romans. But there was a confusing question. If this were the giant elephant of Carthage, how did they come from north of Africa to Britain's island? He then went back and said the answer didn't make sense. But it was a bone of a giant king mentioned in the Torah like Goliath. Anyway, Robert Plot's bone went missing, but his assistant documented it in the book of natural history. The illustrator Michael Berger, who drew it with extreme skill, enough for us to identify and copy it. Dinosaurs remained a puzzling mystery for centuries until a professor in Oxford in 1815, a geologist, and on one of his trips, discovered bones of an animal. And after examining its jaw, teeth, and limbs, he gave the first almost true definition, the closest concept to dinosaurs, that it was an old giant carnivorous reptile. He called it a megalosaurus. This is a Greek word that means great lizard. That was before we know about the dinosaurs. Sir Richard Owen, the English biologist, decided to fill up his playlist. He decided to group this family of fossils and he called it Dinosauria, meaning terrible lizard. But he still thought that it was an old species of reptiles. These reptiles had nothing special except their huge size. This was the first human impression on dinosaurs, that they were slow, stupid, and cold-blooded creatures that kill each other randomly and weren't fit to survive. So they went extinct. They couldn't survive, and the other superior creatures survived instead. Like who? Like us. Let me tell you how. Dinosaurs weren't just bigger, they were smarter. A recent study suggested that the short-armed T-Rex, whose name by the way means lizard king, had a brain with 3 billion nerve cells, which was more than the papillon. This was a huge climb that not all scientists agree on, but at the time intelligence wasn't the determining factor of the winner, like how it is now with humans. When the asteroid hit Earth, the strength point of the dinosaurs, their huge sizes, which made it dominate Earth for more than 150 million years, was also their weakness point and the reason of their extinction. These huge dinosaurs that lived freely and happily and was dominating all creatures didn't withstand all what the plane was exposed to. Mammals that lived as secondary creatures on the side, their small size and weakness were their key to survival. But if the asteroid hadn't hit the Earth, perhaps the dinosaurs wouldn't have gone extinct. We probably wouldn't exist and reptiles would still dominate the planet. Perhaps this created a sort of jealousy towards dinosaurs, and we started to accuse them of failure to adapt, and now we are obsessed with bringing them back to life. But it's impossible to find any DNA in a dinosaur fossil. DNA started to decompose after the creature dies. The oldest DNA we managed to retrieve was the DNA of a horse that was only 700,000 years old. 700,000 years old is nothing. This is the easiest step to find the DNA. Still need to get the DNA and plant it in a creature and find thousands of other DNAs. Even if you succeed in cloning a dinosaur, it wouldn't survive today's world. The form of oxygen and CO2 in the air today is different than what it used to before, and the temperature are different now. It's body enzymes and digestive system. So this dream probably come true during the years we're living now. The problem is that we don't know what we don't know. Humans, with all what they are, have been alive for 300 or 400 or even 500,000 years. Dinosaurs lived and aged for listed for 165 million years. Studies proved that asteroids exterminated the dinosaurs when they were most glorious with a stable ecological system. Thinking about the dinosaurs' life and fate debunks the biggest illusion in life, the illusion of permanence and continuity. That's it, my friend. So don't forget to see the old episodes and the new ones, and like the video and subscribe the channel. Goodbye.